Hello, everyone. For those of you who don't know me, I'm Emily from GoWP. Welcome to today's webinar about selling website care plan add-ons and upsells with Kristina Romero. Really quick, I just want to take these first couple minutes to say a couple words about GoWP for those of you who aren't familiar with us. At GoWP, we are a team that loves to help agencies succeed and grow by providing exceptional outsourced WordPress services. So agencies that partner with GoWP are able to focus on the low-touch, high-value work that helps them grow because they can depend on GoWP to take care of the high-touch, low-value work that disrupts their day. Things like plugin updates, secure backups, security scans, malware cleanup, and of course, the endless content edits requested by clients. So you guys are going to be talking all about these kinds of things today. On top of that, though, we are just now launching a new service to help agency owners struggling to get their page build-outs done on time and within budget. So this is GoWP Page Builds. With GoWP Page Builds, you get a dedicated WordPress developer ready to build your page designs. Members are guaranteed a minimum of 2 hours of dev time a day. They get daily progress reports and an account manager ensuring that your specifications are being followed. And we even work within your project management tools. So Teamwork, Asana, whatever it is, we work in that so you can kind of watch your projects move along. For more information about GoWP Page Builds and to join the waitlist for that, you can check it out at gowp.com/page-builds. So that's that. If you have any questions about partnering with GoWP and how we can help your agency, feel free to email me at emily@gowp.com or check out our website, reach out to me in the Facebook group, whatever. We are everywhere, so we'll answer you. I also wanted to tell you about our Facebook group. If you're not already there, I know a lot of you are watching this in that group right now, but some of you aren't. So the GoWP Niche Agency Owners is a community of agency professionals who either already serve a niche market or would like to niche down. We're broadcasting this webinar live in the group now, and this webinar will be available afterward to watch there as well, along with all of our other webinars we've done. So go check it out and you can request to join and I will let you in. So now just a few notes regarding the webinar. I will be watching the chat both here in the Zoom webinar for those of you who are here and also in the Niche Agency Owners Facebook group. So we've already been testing the Zoom chat, and you guys are all doing a great job there. And I think Kristina's been doing a great job of answering everyone too, so that's great. So hello, everyone there. If you're in the Facebook group, you can go ahead and say hi there, and we can make sure that's working. I already see we've got Beth in there. Beth, I see you asked for the Zoom link. It's a webinar, so if you didn't already register, you have to actually register for this one, so I don't think I can just send you the link. But I'll be watching your comments in the Facebook group, so don't worry.
And Zoom is getting more secure now with everybody using it.
It is,
so,
yeah. So it's not quite as easy as it used to be. Yes, I'll be watching the chat. If you have questions, put them in the chat. I'll get them to Kristina, whether it's coming from Facebook or Zoom. I'll be taking care of that, so don't worry. And if you're making comments or whatever, make sure if you want them to be seen by everybody in Zoom, make sure you change that option to everyone. I think it's like all attendees and panelists. Otherwise, if you just have it on all panelists, it's only for Kristina and I. So if you want to kind of get conversation going, keep that in mind. Okay, so let's get started to get going with why we're here today, selling website care plan add-ons and upsells.
Yes, perfect.
Yeah, so Kristina, you don't need much of an introduction, but I'll give you a quick one anyway.
Maybe I do.
For those of you who don't know Kristina, which I'm sure is very few of you, Kristina began as a website developer with her company KR Media and Designs, creating websites for companies that included Coca-Cola Company, the Food Network, and a whole list of Hollywood celebrities. And a lot of us now know her as the founder of WP Care Market, where she connects small business owners with quality website professionals for ongoing website care. So Kristina, take it away.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Maybe one day I'll release the list of Hollywood celebrities. I don't know how long those NDAs Yeah, I don't know how long those NDAs last. Okay, let me actually share my screen before I start my keynote. That would be important. Here we go. All right, perfect. So a little spin on what sometimes you normally see when it comes to these webinars, because I don't think anyone has really talked too much about selling care plan add-ons. You see a lot about selling website care plans or what to do with a care plan. So I'm really excited. The last 6 months in our coaching program at WP Care Market, every month we've been focusing on an add-on with a special guest. So I've gotten a lot of research and feedback on a lot of these different ones, and kind of broken down what I think would be, you'll see, I categorize them in a different way, and a way for us to wrap our mind around it. And so you can really better understand what you should be doing in your business when it comes to add-ons. So to have us all kind of make this more like a class, I created a little worksheet for you. You don't have to go through it during this, but certainly get it, open the Google Doc, copy it so you have it on your drive. And I really want you to spend some time having reflection on your care plans and maybe your add-ons for your care plans, because I think the goal right now, especially in this time, is that we do want to strengthen the recurring revenue we have as we move into just more of an unpredictable environment. We're all realizing that the stronger we have in terms of our monthly recurring revenue, the less stress we feel as an agency. So this worksheet, we'll go through it a little bit later, asks a few questions just to get you thinking and kind of motivating you to work through what that looks like. So then I'm going to give you some information for you to better answer some of those questions for yourself. So I'll just keep that on the screen a little bit longer, and I'll just double check nobody's saying that the link is broken. No? Okay, good.
Nope, I think I tested it earlier, so it should be
okay,
working.
Good. You never know.
You never know.
So the good thing about website care is that we've now normalized the conversation, because thanks to GoWP, thanks to a lot of the conversation we've had, we've normalized it to where we all are kind of familiar with what a website care plan actually means. I think for a long time there, for a few years, it was morphing into a lot of different things and kind of outside just general maintenance, and then becoming a whole bunch of different stuff. So I think we've normalized the conversation a lot to say there's care plans, and then there's kind of like add-ons, and then there's like different plans and stuff like that. So we'll talk about that. But in doing so, I've released this recently, this sort of 2 different business models when it comes to an agency. And I just want to tap into that a little bit at the beginning of this webinar, to set the stage for what we're talking about. You know, I'm really loving this model and getting good feedback from it, but we all used to kind of operate in this LOST model. And the LOST stands for, we go with lead generation, lead heavy, and external sources to bring in leads, build the sites, offboard them, send them away, and then tread water. Only dealing with issues as they come back to you, not really having a goal, but just kind of working with whatever is coming your way. And a lot of you guys who are on this webinar, especially if you're following GoWP, niche agency owners, and if you're following my stuff, you've probably abandoned this model a little bit over time and started to realize if you just focus externally on lead generation and not looking at what you have, you're losing a lot of revenue. So I called it LOST, like a lost business model. And it's the perspective of an agency that you're project-based, that you bring people in, do projects, and send them away. 100% of that lost revenue is really not any value to your business when you go to evaluate how much your company is worth. So it's really important now, even if you're not thinking about ever selling your agency, what your exit plan is. And you can't actually evaluate your company on your past project revenue. You could probably evaluate on your lead generation machines. If you have, friendships or organizations that you've been working with who send in referrals, and you can quantify that in some way, but you can't really evaluate your company on your lost revenue. So that focus, and what I feel like we've abandoned and some maybe need help abandoning, is that lost framework, that big project value focus of your clients. So moving into our new, what I've been putting out there for WP Care Market is this core model, this idea that really the core of your agency, what makes it strong, not all your revenue, just the center of it, what makes it strong should come from care plans, those options, which are the add-ons we're going to talk about today, your redesigns for those care plan clients, and that extra support time of whatever, whenever they go over their plan, or you have website retainers or whatever it is that you get from that core list of clients. And really you need to focus on that as your core that supports the rest of your business. So when we look at it like that, we're looking at it, an agency operating and focusing on that list of clients. And it may, for some people just starting out, be a handful, but certainly the more you do projects and bring people in, you're doing it with the focus of making them a core client. So 100% of your core revenue, when you go to budget your agency expenses, that should be what you're budgeting it off of. It should be, when you think about how much you're going to pay your staff, when you think about how much you're going to pay for admin expenses or outsourcing, you're going to want to evaluate your core revenue to kind of get an idea of that. And 100% of your core revenue should be what's sustaining your agency. So when you take on clients, it shifts. You will end up taking on clients that are long-term value clients, not necessarily the big projects as your main goal. Get those big projects, but it's just not really the main goal. So we have a little graphic here to kind of understand what that looks like. This is just the core revenue. This is not all your revenue in an agency, just your core revenue is made up of those care plans, those options and add-ons, those redesigns for those clients, and that extra support time, CORE. A beautiful acronym. And so when I look at this, I tend to think in my business, it's broken down differently over years, but generally 40% of that revenue is our care plans. And then we have our options that kind of make up that 60% of that revenue that comes in from our existing client list. And then our existing client list, a few people every year redesign, right? And then it kind of rotates through the list. Someone needs a redesign, and every 2 or 3 years they need another one. So we, get those projects from our existing list. And then those extra support time doesn't really make up too much of that revenue. So that gives you an idea of, when I'm talking about add-ons, where they fall when we talk about our agencies and when we talk about our revenue. When I kind of mentioned it supporting the rest of your business, it's going to support your staff salaries, your software expenses, your admin expenses, your business development, so that you can grow your business. And hopefully your care plan clients and your core clients, they bring you the referrals that you need. All right, so I know that's a lot to take in. I mean, that's its own webinar, but I really am so excited about this framework and getting this out there that I just can't not find an opportunity to talk about this right now. And I really want to outline more on this and a roadmap on this, but wanted to kind of set the stage, if you will, for that concept. Any questions there in the chat, Emily, before I move on? I haven't looked, so.
We haven't had any questions come in. People are agreeing with you though. So Shannon Doa says yes. She relates to both of those models, I guess. So hopefully that means she relates into changing over to that core model.
Yeah, exactly.
The core model is the direction I have been wanting to move into, she says. So yeah, she definitely relates there.
Awesome. Okay, good. So then when we talk about care plans, let's get on the same page language-wise with what a care plan actually is. Again, we're kind of setting the stage just so we're talking about the same thing. I think language is so tricky these days, especially all you have to do is go on Facebook and see the craziness that's there, is that we all get caught up in the language. And so if we don't get on the same page about what we're talking about, then sometimes it can be confusing and it's not effective for you kind of going through this webinar. So we set the stage about what kind of can make up your core revenue and how I look at add-ons and how they play into that. When we talk about website care, we're talking about software updates. We're talking about daily backups, security monitoring, uptime monitoring, performance optimization, depending upon what level you want to invest in that. Dedicated support time every month. Some people do tasks. Some people include 5 tasks or 3 tasks at X amount of time. Some people do 1 hour, 30 minutes. Some people do different types of versions of that. Some people have unlimited of a certain type of task. So you just want that dedicated support time where it is website maintenance, but there's times where things are going to come up and be requested. So you always want to include something like that. And then of course, some kind of report, because I feel any service that you do for your client, any product you deliver should have a deliverable. And with website care, you could be updating your client's site every month and doing a lot of great stuff. And if they're not reminded about what you're doing, it's easy to experience churn. So I'm going to talk about churn a lot, which means cancellations. So they cancel their plan. So if they don't understand what it is that you do, you run the risk of them falling off and trying to re-educate them, but maybe not getting them back. So I think the monthly report really helps with that. We've found that clients really like to see analytics, not that the two are related at all, but for some reason they want to see the analytics. We have Google Data Studio now feeding our analytics to our clients, and our monthly report is separate. They used to be together, but now they're separate reports. So that gives you a good idea of what we're talking about. And now let's talk about what everybody always wants to talk about, which is pricing. Now, pricing with care plans is its own webinar, and we may have had that at one point for GoWP, Emily, now that I think about it, at some point somewhere over the last year.
I think we did something, yeah.
Something with pricing.
A year ago, there was definitely something there. Might be time to revisit it.
Yeah, fish that out. But pricing is so different because it really comes down to profitability. First of all, you need to really understand where your time is going when it comes to website updates. So if you're outsourcing your updates to GoWP, it's easier because you have a marker, right? You know how much that's going to cost. So that's really easy. You can mark up from there. If you're not doing that, then you do have to evaluate who's doing it, how much it takes, how much they cost and how long it takes them. And you really need to start with those numbers and work your way up from that in terms of profitability, because you're not going to want to keep care plans around if they're not profitable. And they should be profitable because they are going to become the core of your agency. So this is typically what we see in the US. We typically see basic plans hovering around $99. Some people I've seen go as low as $50. Some people can take their basic plans a little higher than that. And you're having monthly maintenance support requests. You have to factor in your time for team communication there, because it's still your team when they come in for the support desk and things aren't tracked. So you estimate maybe about 60 minutes of your team's time is like $99. It really means you have to go through your plan. You have to kind of audit yourself and your team about what they're doing so you can really understand the profit margin there. Then you see premium plans a little bit higher. Sometimes they're like $150, sometimes they go up to $250, kind of averaging around $200. And what you see there is a little bit more of a premium attention or a higher attention. What we tend to see in website care is that a lot of sites don't need a lot of care. And then there's sites that need a lot of care. So we're looking at WordPress websites, LMS, membership sites, sites with a lot of traffic, sites, even blogs that are updated twice, 3 times a day is a premium site. Anything that if it went down for any type of period of time, it would be significant to the owner. So that's what we kind of look at when we look at premium plans or those higher tiered plans, that extra attention. Maybe it takes a little bit more time for monthly maintenance because you are updating it on a staging server before it goes live, or like with GoWP, maybe you're doing visual regression and there's a little bit of extra work involved in updating that site. So there's a lot of ways you can justify that time. And then maybe you up the support request because with those types of sites, sometimes it takes a little bit longer to update a piece of a code or something when it's on a more complex site. Factor in team communication, and you might be seeing that your team's kind of spending maybe 2 hours on a site like that. So if you're in a part of the world that has a lower cost of living, then those minutes, 60 minutes and 120 minutes might look a lot different to you in terms of profitability. If you're living in a big city, if you're living in New York and LA, that's going to maybe kind of change the pricing a little bit, and it's supported because of the clients that are coming to you, maybe local in that market. So really there is a big wide range here. The one thing I want you to always think about when it comes to pricing is to realize that when you go out to the market and you see what mass market solutions are doing, and I say this repeatedly, but I feel like I have to say it because there's always one person that needs to hear this. With the mass market solutions that are out there, maybe they're $50 a month or something like that, and you're thinking, well, how can I justify $100 if they're $50? Because you're a real person and they can really email you and they can really talk with you on the phone, and they have someone who can actually look at their site and offer suggestions for improvement and offer more services that a mass market solution cannot offer. So take that into account, that you are valuable, and that for the clients that you work with, if you focus on that core model, then they are your clients. They are on your list and they're going to get your attention, which they're not really going to get in another type of mass market solution.
That's awesome,
Cool?
Kristina. And I think that answered a question we got, which was how do you explain your value on smaller sites with a managed web host that is already doing backups, monitoring, core updates, and sometimes even plugin updates. So I think you answered it right there.
Exactly. It's relationship. It's all relationship. And you want to work with people that want to work with you. So if someone's really not getting it, there's may not be worth trying to force them to understand. They just may not get it, but you offer a lot in your relationship. So if you really make that the gateway to working with you, they're not going to push back on it. And trust me, almost all my clients are on web hosts that provide software updates, but I don't know any web host that provides plugin updates unless there is some kind of emergency security vulnerability and they have to update the plugin. And in that case, no one's watching it, they're pushing a button. So you explain to your clients that plugin updates are not done because so many sites would break if they were just doing that as a web host, and they don't want that coming through their support system. So WordPress, yes, but we try to get to WordPress updates before the host, usually a day or two before, typically. And sometimes they push out before us and we just let our client know. Sometimes they get to it first, sometimes we do, but we always check the site and make sure everything's running well. Okay, now to the good stuff. Now that we've framed where we're coming from, hopefully we're all kind of on the same page about what we're talking about. We're kind of leap into this idea of add-ons. And I broke it down into 3 different big categories and 2 smaller categories. So there's the popular add-ons. These are add-ons that you see a lot in packaged with care plans or in people's agencies. The first 3 that we have here are the most popular, and I'm going to talk a little bit about why I think that's the case. But they're certainly the easiest to offer. So website hour retainers, website development time retainers, I see a lot. I have my opinions about that, but it's certainly an easy add-on for someone to kind of tap on to a care plan, an extra 5 hours a month, an extra 10 hours a month, and they can add it on and they can cancel it and they can add it on depending upon their needs. Or maybe it's, 20 hours for the year or something like that. And it's on whatever you do, have it on a recurring basis. And so, they whittle down the hours and then, it's not good or it doesn't roll over, whatever you have. I think it's best if it doesn't roll over because just like a lawyer or someone like that, if you don't use the hours, then they can roll over and it's easier for you to predict your time. It's very difficult to predict your time if you just sell a lot of retainer hours and then everybody cashes them in on the same week. It's never fun. So that's something you see a lot, very popular. I meant to put more like development and design hours rather than website hour retainers. That didn't really make a lot of sense. Hosting, you see a lot of people offering hosting with their website care plans. It really is an add-on, and I want you to just always think of it that way and frame it that way. You can always make the call if you do ever want to provide website care for someone who is not on your hosting. So if that's the case, then it's not really an add-on. It's required. But if it is something you add on and you would still provide website care if they went to a host you recommended, then you can frame it like that so that if they ever cancel hosting with you because of whatever reason, you can still retain them as a website care plan client. And that's the most important thing when we're talking about add-ons. When you're discussing add-ons, they will always remain a care plan client, whether they cancel these or not. That's the concept behind it. Now, higher tier plans are basically an add-on because if you allow people to switch up and down between a plan, which I've seen a lot of people do, then someone may move up to a higher tier for a while because of a certain level of needs and then downgrade to a tier. So that's certainly an add-on. You're never going to lose them as a care plan client if they downgrade. On our end, we ended up taking our 3 plans and putting them down to 2 plans and making it more about the type of site on those plans rather than their decision on which plan to be on. When we did that, it just made it a lot easier. We told them which plan they were going to be on and no one's switching up and down in between. But a lot of people still have that 3 or 4 plan model that has more hours in it, more benefits for some reason. You're basically taking things and you're upping the value on them, right? So if you have security scanning on a basic plan, maybe on the higher plan, you have malware scanning and you have, hack repair or malware removal. So there's probably things inside those tiers that are increasing the value of those line items. So certainly those things are add-ons, and you can frame it that way. Now, this other group over here are very popular add-ons that we've seen from agencies that have kind of taken in more of like social media and marketing. So they take the care plan client and then they have their separate add-on for social media management, marketing, whether it's marketing funnels or in kind of like on-page or off-page marketing, SEO plans. And those are really popular. The one thing I want you to keep in mind about these two separate groups of add-ons is that the first group we talked about are a lower cost to operate, and so they result in a lower churn. So when you don't have to spend so much time around a particular add-on, right? Our retainers, you're going to work whenever they ask you, so there's kind of a benefit to that. And if they don't use them, they kind of expire. Hosting, you're not really, probably, it depends on what type of hosting you offer, but again, lower cost to operate, and the higher tier plans are just adding value into different line items. You're not charging as much as you would for something like these, which require a higher cost to operate. So when you price these guys, they tend to be closer to the price that your client is going to think is just a part of what they need to pay for their needs. They need the hours, they need the hosting, they need the higher plan. So low churn, low cancellations, they tend to not cancel those. And then when it comes to these take a lot of time to implement, they take a lot of strategy to implement, and they become higher cost to operate items. Therefore, they do become higher churn items. You do tend to see right now companies canceling these items in this particular crisis that we're in, because these are a higher plan item for them that they're feeling like they aren't necessary, right? Are non-essential. The first ones may be considered more essential, and these are kind of considered more kind of non-essential. So you have to frame it this way, that you always want to separate out these away from your website care plan, so they always view the care plan as essential. They always view the care plan as something they don't want to cancel, and that these are options and these add-ons that we can do for a while and then we can stop doing. Now, if you have the requirement that if they want to work with you for social media, they have to be on your website, or if they want to work with you at all, they have to be doing social media, that's different. But most of the time, with what I've seen with the web agencies and freelancers, is these should be really separate services, and they want to retain the care plan client because they could come back for social media maybe when business is good again. So I'm going to take those two kind of columns, this idea of, oops, went back too far. This idea of, on the left, I think it's your left, are the lower cost to operate, lower churn, lower cancellations, fewer cancellations, and then the right, higher cost to operate, higher churn, into our next set of slides. So those were the popular add-ons, the ones that I see when I'm working with people in their agencies all the time. Next are the creative add-ons, kind of being a little bit more creative with how to increase the recurring revenue with your clients in a very creative way. So on the left, we have those lower cost to operate, lower churn items. Strategy sessions and website reviews. So we're looking at, don't ever take your advice for your clients as something that you offer for free. So really to dig into their site, to run a website review on their site. Maybe it's quarterly that you do this, or maybe it's the kind of client that can benefit from it monthly. You're doing so and setting up an hour session with them to maybe map out some SMART goals, to maybe map out like a punch list of items. Don't ever take that for granted like it's not valuable. It's incredibly valuable. It's a lower cost for you to operate, but certainly something that they're going to view that they need. The other thing is upping your security. So using something, if you're with a service, especially if you're outsourcing to a particular service and they offer things like firewalls and advanced security or malware scanning or hack repair, those are incredibly valuable things and things that a client is going to view as essential. And so that's an easy add-on for you to put on there, or an easy upsell for you. And also lots of services out there that can provide that, which you can kind of spread out to your clients. So don't ever view that as something you just kind of have to roll in. It's certainly an add-on. Last one is what we've seen a lot with Termageddon and these other services, white label, I'll just say, white label things for your client site. Particularly a privacy policy is the only one that's coming to mind, but I'm sure there's some other examples out there. that's a good one. We did that for our clients. We, made like about $1,300 or $1,400 off of offering the white label privacy policy last year for a year. And they're set on a recurring subscription for that. So every year they're going to be paid, charged $99 for their privacy policy and terms on their site. And we've offered to help keep it up to date and things like that. So on the left, lower cost to operate items, also lower churn items because they're viewed as more essential. And now on the right, design plans, content creation plans, and email marketing. So in that first slide, we saw things that people generally jump to. SEO can bring in a lot of bucks, on page, those type of marketing efforts of funnels and things like that can bring in a lot of bucks, things like that. But I've been seeing a lot of creative things done here with design plans. It really depends on the client when it comes to clients that really need graphics on a regular basis. So you can work with either your designer, or you could work with a group like Dear Designer, who's kind of like a white label design provider, to offer some kind of graphics package for your clients. And I think this really works well for bloggers and content creators who maybe don't want to spend the time doing it themselves. You can put together probably a nice little pitch PDF of graphics and what you would do, especially with the content creation plans, to provide something for them every month. They send the post, you create the graphic for it, that kind of thing. That can really bring in, another $100 or $200 every month. And you can end up paying a service only a handful, like $300 or $400 every month to do something like that. Put a couple of clients on it, and it's going to build over time. And now you have a design team that's paid for and a recurring revenue coming in from that. Content creation plans are different from SEO. SEO focuses a lot on, keyword ranking and are very results driven. If you reframe for your clients content creation plans that you will create blog posts for them, or maybe any kind of like PDF download if they have a lot of like lead gen stuff, it's nice because your result at that point is delivering content. So when you frame it as SEO, it can kind of get to be really higher churn than like a content creation plan, because what you're saying is, I'm going to create content for you. It'll be SEO optimized content. It'll be working toward your keyword, but it's content creation, and that's what Google needs, and that's what you need for your site. So you might experience a lot less churn if you frame it that way. We've been seeing a lot of creative things done with that, and I would really encourage maybe thinking about SEO as more of a content creation kind of thing with SEO, to get away from a client wanting to cancel because they slipped on a ranking or something like that, or they're not seeing the results that they want. With content, you're showing them the results because the content is there. Another interesting thing is we have marketing, we have our traditional marketing, but what I found consistently is that clients really, really can benefit, and you hear Mike Killen talk about this a lot of email marketing strategies, and we tend to not want to get into that piece for our clients, but you could single out that piece. You really don't have to do a marketing plan for clients to then offer an email marketing to really create campaigns for them. If you get them an active campaign, if I can learn active campaign, you can learn active campaign. Trust me on that. I was so intimidated by really digging into that, and I've been blown away with how easy it is. MailChimp also has a lot of those sort of tagging features and stuff where you could, have automations and remarket and things like that. But Active Campaign shines in my opinion. Oh, there's a lot of other ones. I think I don't want to say the wrong one, but I think ConvertKit does it. I might be wrong with the name of it, but I think it's ConvertKit as well. So email marketing, the idea of creating a campaign for your client every quarter, retargeting or helping them with certain automations, really framing a productized service. These are all productized in that way. They're a service, but they're productized. They have a price tag on them. You could take any of these add-ons and have them recur every quarter, every year. So they don't need to be monthly. It just needs to be recurring. Okay, so it doesn't have to be monthly. It just needs to be recurring, because you need to have that factor into your core plan, so it really ups the value of your company as recurring revenue. You're basically getting a client signing on that they're committing to this revenue every quarter, every year, and that is huge in the evaluation of your company. All right, last group is out of the box. I couldn't figure out a good name for this. Out of the box add-ons, I don't know. It's just kind of like other things that most people may not be doing that are probably specific to the client. So they're kind of out of the box of what you would say is a normal client or a normal particular recurring revenue service. White label support desks for your client. Now, I say this with trepidation. This is certainly something I have seen from clients and that they want when they have LMS sites and WAS, website as a service types of sites, or those turnkey sites. If you build those types of sites for clients, consider creating a support desk for those particular sites. And you're just literally taking the inbox from your client, the support at whatever their email is, and forwarding it into your inbox. But you could really pay or have them pay a pretty penny for that offering. So consider that. It would be a productized service. You'd have to have very strict boundaries about what's considered that support. But it's the idea that you have a student in the LMS, they're having a technical problem, right? They're having a tech issue. Well, instead of emailing your client, the tech support box goes to you guys. So it's usually like, I'm having trouble submitting this form. It's not submitting on LearnDash. The cool thing about that is you're solving it before your client's solving it. So that's good. It makes you look better if there really is an issue and you have to fix LearnDash, but also you remove the headache from your client being the middleman for that. And you could really, again, pay, or charge a pretty penny for something like this. Again, it's on the left. It's more of like an essential. Actually, I didn't do the left and right with this, but I would consider this something more of an essential. They're not going to want to cancel it once you start with it. I just say, if this is your space, this is a great thing. If you don't do LMS, if you don't do WAS creation sites, may not be a good thing to go down the road. But if this is your space, this is a really good thing to do. Unlimited content edits, I just say out of the box because it kind of depends on you and your agency and what you do and what kind of clients. Considering that GoWP offers this, I would certainly really frame it to your clients as a big deal. And you could have your sites with GoWP for outsourcing website support and have that add-on for content edits be a much higher price, and whatever clients you offer it to, it really evens out and probably exceeds with a nice revenue in the end. So that frames it a little bit better for you to sell that. I think whenever you sell anything unlimited, you always want to be very clear in educating your clients on what that means. So be very clear about that up front, but it comes down to the particular type of clients. And with GoWP, it's certainly an option that you can add as an add-on rather than an assumed offering, if that makes sense. Business consulting. So when we talked about strategy and website reviews, business consulting is something totally different. And my good friend, Mike Killen, I love the guy. He just emailed me. He's going to be talking about this next week. So he's talking about how you take yourself as an agency owner of consulting someone like on their website and, talking about them about what they need to do on their website to like taking it to a higher level and actually giving them more ideas on kind of as a strategist, as a business strategist. So I look forward to that and kind of name drop what he's going to do next week. But so business consulting, I have fallen into the trap often of giving business advice to my clients about what they should do without them paying for it. You guys know a lot about a particular niche. I mean, heck, we're in the niche agency owners group because you're working with that particular business industry or that business model on a regular basis. So you actually probably know more about the industry than your client does. So when they come to you and they go, should I make a podcast? Things like that. It's like, oh, good. I'm glad you asked. I actually have a business consulting, productized service I can offer you where we can sit down, we can go through your business, and I kind of, with my experience of the industry, because I've worked with all of these different players, I'm happy to share like what they've done, what you could do, and maybe help you write out a plan for that. I can't execute the plan because we don't create podcasts. We don't find, drop shippers, but I could certainly tell you what you need to do. Right? So that is valuable. It's certainly outside of the box, and it's certainly something you could put on a recurring basis, especially, like I said, if you own a niche and you're working with a lot of people in that niche, it could be really valuable.
I think that's great, Kristina. And we had one question in the chat
Sure.
about how is that different from earlier strategy sessions? And I think, correct me if I'm wrong, but the business consulting, that's more talking about their actual business, right? It's not talking about web consulting where you're consulting them on SEO and marketing and that kind of stuff. This is actually consulting them on how to make their business more successful. Is that right?
Exactly. So a good example would be you go into someone's website for the strategy session and they're not taking advantage of email capture, and you advise them that they really need to create a PDF, and you guys will create, maybe you show the website review checklist and you see they're really not, ranking for certain keywords and things like that. All performance could be increased, security could be better, things all directly related to the website. Business consulting would say, here they're trying to own the space around, financial planning, and they haven't taken advantage of some low-hanging fruit when it comes to podcasting, or they're doing, they're like, for example, we have Miss Delaware, for example. We have Miss Delaware, and one thing that they could really do, and they've been talking about doing, is creating merchandise. And what that looks like to create merchandise. Now, us talking about adding a store to the website could be a lot different than talking to, because we have 4 other Miss USA sites, but what they might be doing in terms of creating product, drop shipments, different things about the product that we're selling well, and things like that. So outside of the scope of the website, you guys have a lot of experience and more than you think in terms of what they should be doing. And especially when we're in groups like this, web-based digital businesses, we all know things around YouTube, around Instagram, around podcasts, around all of these things that may not be services we offer, but they're information the client's going to benefit from. So you don't have to execute the solution, is basically what business consulting is. You don't have to execute the solution in order to give them advice. All right, next 3 things for the out-of-the-box add-ons is redesign subscriptions. So I'm going to be talking about this in a couple months, but in our coaching, it's kind of neat to see the different models of people kind of putting websites on redesign subscriptions. So the idea being you get your website redesigned every year, or every 6 months, your homepage gets redesigned, or every 2 years or something like that. And it doesn't have to be a full website. You can really say, we'll redesign, the homepage, or we'll redesign the header and the footer every 6 months or something like that to keep it fresh. So there's lots of creative things that people are doing that are really kind of neat and exciting. And what I've seen with some of the redesign subscriptions is there are different tiered levels to that as well, with what they include, different features and plugins and things that they include. So some people have been really creative with that. I think you can take a website care plan client and have a redesign subscription and have them be 2 completely separate things. The one thing about redesign subscriptions is if you've already built the site for them, then you could offer redesign subscriptions ongoing after that. If you start with the design subscription, you're going to have to host that website because, obviously they can cancel the plan and run with their website. So I'm not talking about design subscriptions. I'm talking about you've already built the website, you've already designed it. And because you've done that, they qualify for now coming on to one of your redesign subscriptions. So that kind of protects you a little bit, makes it a little bit more predictable and profitable for you in the end. But on their end, they kind of feel like maybe they're on more of a payment plan for the website kind of staying fresh and staying up to date, and stay into you could kind of frame it like, we've got a busy schedule, so you're on the schedule, and we'll get that new design out for you. The other thing is out of the box platform search optimization. That is taking off. A lot of my clients are asking all the time, how do I upload to YouTube or send out on Instagram or post on or create my page on Facebook in a way that is optimized for our keywords? That is a whole separate thing than SEO, in my opinion. Platform search optimization is becoming its own kind of language, its own terminology. Consider that. Instead of an SEO plan, consider platform search optimization for those clients that are really, big on, could really benefit from social. And then the other one is we have social media management, the idea that you are posting for your clients and helping them push out, their social. This is a little bit different. This is kind of like the white label support desk idea. Social group management, and Emily knows all about that, and I do too. Managing a group, becoming the admin of a group. What's really cool is if you have an agency structure and you have a virtual assistant or you have people working for you, you could easily train them on group management. And that is something you could kind of offer to your clients. Of course, there's got to be a process to escalate something, right? And there's got to certainly be a playbook for a voice and a tone for your group. But I think one thing that benefits clients is the idea that someone is watching stuff. So someone's in there and they're watching it and they're engaging conversation. So they're not just, where social media management might be posting something to a page. So social group management may be more like posting it to a group, everything Emily does, right? Actually, not a portion of what Emily does, because Emily does a lot.
It's a lot. The Facebook group is a lot of what I do now these days.
Yeah, right? And it becomes a skill and an art. And what you can do is, if it's something that you're not familiar with, open up a group, start to manage it, and you'll begin to learn the skills that you would need to train someone, and as well as, how you deal with issues. And it includes, like, to your client, we will help set up the rules. We will help set up a way for people to come in screened. We will help, once they're in, monitoring people who are not, being good, and blocking them and removing them. So you're not really commenting. You're not acting like the client. The client's going to go in and comment and do all that, but you're watching over the group, so they don't have to worry about that. So they don't have to hire a VA to do that, but you guys can do it. So those are some ideas around add-ons, and I really racked my brain to see if I could squeeze out some more things I wasn't thinking about. So I'm really excited to see if anyone has in the chat or in QA some other ideas. But you can go back through that download. In fact, let me pop it up here.
We did have Trevor over in the Facebook group, the Niche Agency Owners Facebook group. He said that he bundles a certain recommended set of plugin licenses with all of his plans. And then he makes a bit on top of that by buying developer licenses for other specialist plugins and then reselling them to multiple clients. Not huge sums, but it's handy, he said.
Yeah, that's a good one. So there were a few things I didn't include because there's stuff we talk about that to include in your care plans, as we call them value adds. So you have your website care plan, and part of that value add for us, I'll run you through some of our value adds. Premium plugin licenses for certain sets of plugins. We have Beaver Builder, Beaver Themer, Gravity Forms, Advanced Custom Fields, and I feel like I may be forgetting one. A lot of people have security plugins included in that, performance plugins like WP Rocket included in that, and it's a group, and it's factored into website care. So when you cancel your plan, you lose access to those plugin licenses and you have to buy them yourself. The other things we include in our care plans in the core is right out of the box, inside the plans, not as a value add, not as an add-on for an option, is Google Search Console, fixing errors, not warnings, and broken links. We kind of do that when we launch the site, but a minimum optimization. So when we see a significant drop in performance, we'll make the task to kind of go in, and maybe it involves optimizing images and things like that. So a few things I didn't discuss because we actually kind of include those in the basic and premium plans.
Great. Yeah, we did have a couple people also, when you brought up Termageddon and privacy policies, a lot of people said that they also use that, and it's been great. And Jeff also said privacy, he didn't necessarily say Termageddon, but privacy policy in terms of use pages, some good tools available around those. So there's that. A couple of you are doing SEO add-ons, so that's awesome. And Jeff said, yes, Termageddon. So there we go.
And I played with rolling them into our care plans, like as a value add to increase the value of our plans. But I think I'm going to step back on that and go back to what I had originally done, was they bought $99 for the year. I think I'm going to go back to that, because I think it just makes the communication so much more clear of what they're getting rather than rolling it in. So, we'll see where I go with that. But I started out as an add-on and it worked really well. And then I started rolling it in because the prices of our plans, and I wanted to justify it. So
Nice. Yeah, and then Simon's saying server speed, SSL security, content updates, technical support, CDN for international traffic. So yeah, people are definitely doing some great stuff out there.
Yes, exactly.
Jay,
The more you
sorry.
can brand, yeah, like what he just said, like the more you can brand that and just kind of bundle it together, and it's like the premier performance package, the accelerated security package, you're gonna
Yeah,
be
that's
able
a
to
great
sell it.
idea. Is Termageddon a reduced cost for agencies? I don't see that on their site. I believe how it works is they give you a free plan for your agency, and then it's basically you resell it to your clients. Is that right?
Yes, and I'm glad they don't put the price that they give agencies on their site, because if your client ever went to it,
Right,
they
because
would
it's
kind
not
of
white labeled,
know.
correct? Yeah.
So yeah, well, yeah, and I like being honest. I don't know, maybe I think you can get away with white labeling it, but I like being really clear about it because it deals with legal things, and I want to separate myself
Absolutely.
from
Yep.
legal things. So yeah, you can always reach out to them, and they have agency numbers for that.
Yeah, they're great. They're in our Facebook group too. So I don't know if they're watching this right now, but if you have questions about Termageddon, you can reach out to them in the Facebook group. They're always happy to answer questions there.
Yeah. And a lot of people in our community, in our WordPress community, are starting to create a lot of white label services for what I just spoke about, whether it's SEO or content creation or funnels or any of the things that I spoke about. A lot of people in our community are starting to create packages that can be white labeled, which you could sell. And again, that's really helpful because then you know the starting cost, and you can increase that to know your profit on it, and sell that to your clients without having to train a team and all that. So, just kind of keep your eyes open in a lot of these groups as these things roll out. And certainly if there's something I really love, I'm going to push that as well. So I just wanted to go through this little worksheet, and then we'll jump into some more questions. These are simple questions, but they're not simple. Like, you're going to see this and you're like, yeah, I know what I'm doing. But when you actually sit down, you're like, wait a minute, maybe I really should map out my scope of work and my value adds and what my add-ons are. And I need to put down that I need to start to remove that service, or I need to start to make people start paying for that. And you start assigning tasks to yourself and hold yourself accountable. It seems so simple, but you need to hold yourself accountable. And then what are you charging for your plans, now that you've seen my kind of price conversation around maybe I'm not charging enough. And again, it kind of goes back to clients, especially if you've had them for a while, really like working with you. So if you approach them and you say that times have changed and our expenses have gotten more, and we've optimized our processes, and we have more value to offer, they're usually pretty okay with you saying this isn't profitable anymore, and this isn't sustainable anymore, so we need to raise our prices. Then the other thing I have for you here is about the client outreach. If you want to offer an add-on, you start to package an add-on and offer it to them. I gave you a little starter email. I think everything's easier when someone just gives you something to start with. So it's kind of how I feel about baking, just like give me something to start with and I can make it great. So when we really sell an add-on, we really want to tie it back to our website care plan. So think about SEO as a good example of that. So something like this, if you're selling an SEO plan, it would be like, as ranking for your keyword that we show you in your Google Analytics report, we're keeping your website performing well so that you can rank for, your chosen keyword, and that is supported by your care plan. And then you go into the key benefit of every day, the scope and benefit of what's around you ranking changes. And so we're offering this SEO plan. So you really want to kind of tie it back to the care plan in some way. Typically it's easy to, because your care plan keeps the website performing well and secure, and some kind of key benefit you have in the plan there is easy to kind of drop in to make it relate in some way to the add-on. It's a really nice way of framing it too, that you have your care plan, and now you have this add-on, and this is bringing you more benefits to strengthen the two when we just, strengthen our relationship in getting you to your goals. So you can start with that and edit it and all that good stuff. We do have a join our network where we do have some resources in our training. So if you join that and submit your email, can kind of reach out to me. I'm a real person. It really goes to me, and I really respond to you with the resource. So if you have a question, you can do that, and then you can really tell me your needs. I had a lovely person email me a nice novel about her request for the resource. So it was lovely, and I was able to really understand where she was coming from with her agency. But I'm a real person, so you can do that, and I'll talk to you. Let's see, anything else I'm missing in here? Kind of ran through that really fast. We've been talking about these in our group coaching. So when you're there's a lot of our students on this call, which is really fun. We've been talking about this in our group coaching because we have group coaching as an add-on to for our students every month. And every month we go through one of these add-ons and really dig into it with an expert. So there'll be some more coming up. And as I think of more, we may have to do a round 2 of this, Emily, maybe in 6 months. Maybe we do a round 2.
I'm up for it.
Add on some, and add on some more. And especially as we get more feedback from you guys going through this and what you guys are doing, we can get more specific and add on some more.
Awesome. Thank you so much for that, Kristina. That was like jam-packed with so many great ideas. So
and I haven't even looked at the chat. So if anyone said anything,
it's been active. So I've been trying to get everything to you. So that's good. Let's see, Kevin is asking, is there any way to get a copy of the presentation slides displayed in the webinar? He missed the start. For that, perfect. I'll let you answer that, but I will also say that I'll be sending out the recording of this webinar as well, so you will be able to rewatch it also.
So Kevin, what I'll do on that wpcaremarket.com/GoWP is I'll just put another button next to Access Worksheet, and I'll just have download slides.
Awesome, thank you.
Just give me a few minutes, because after this call, I go back into my life of schooling children, of being a teacher of 4 children. So
our new normal, right?
Our new normal.
Let's see, we have another question. Let's see, I haven't read this one before saying it. I should really read them first. Kristina should really sing while saying the word swag inside joke
that's
for her
Dave.
coaching peeps.
That's Dave. Swag. Yeah,
there we go. And let's see, I think a lot of thank yous. His day is made. Thank you so much.
Oh, Mary's there. Hi, Mary. Yeah, cool. All right, guys,
that's
good.
Everything. We're at 1 o'clock, so that was awesome. Thank you so much, Kristina. And
very welcome.
Everyone watching, if you're in our Facebook group, Kristina's in that group as well. You can reach out to her there. This recording will be there, and I'll be sending it to you via email, maybe today, but more likely Monday probably. So watch out for that.
Yeah, we all have a lot going on.
There's a lot going on. And I will say that, yeah, we do a lot of stuff in the Facebook groups. I know a lot of you are fans of Kristina and came over from her group and her newsletter and everything. So please join us over there as well. We have happiness hours on Fridays and lots of great stuff there.
And they're good people. And
they're
good people. And I only do stuff for good people.
That's right. We say the same thing. So. All right. So thank you. And we'll see everybody in the group. Thanks, Kristina. Have a great weekend.
Bye, guys. Have a good weekend.
Bye.